Before we begin, I want to invite you to pause. Just breathe. Ask yourself gently and honestly, am I in love with myself yet? Because here's something we're rarely taught. No one ever truly shows us how to love ourselves before we go looking for love in someone else. And very few of us are told to slow down before rushing into romance. Some people enter relationships like jumping into deep water, fast, eager, unprepared. Others tiptoe in, carrying unhealed wounds and silent expectations, hoping love will finally make everything feel okay. This message is for the girl who's questioning her readiness, for the one who's been hurt before, or the one standing quietly at the beginning of something new, wondering, am I ready for this? These are 5 truths I hope you'll carry with you before giving your heart away. 1. Happiness doesn't come from a relationship. It begins within you. Maybe you've heard it before, that a relationship won't save anyone. But let it be said again, slowly this time, because sometimes the truth needs to echo softly before it's finally believed. A relationship will not complete a person. It won't erase the quiet, knowing loneliness that has been growing in the corners of someone's soul. It won't repair the fragments of self that were broken long before love was even on the horizon. It won't offer lasting peace to someone who hasn't yet found peace within. Love in its best form is beautiful, yes. But when entered with the hope that someone else will fill the voids left unattended, disappointment becomes inevitable. No person can be asked to carry the weight of another's unhealed wounds. That isn't love. That's a burden. The truth is, without learning how to be happy alone, a person risks using love as a temporary escape. It may be called connection, but in reality, it becomes a form of survival. It may look like desire, but what's truly needed is something quieter, more sacred, a reconnection with oneself. Many believe that being fully chosen by another will finally bring a sense of wholeness. That being loved, loudly and completely, will silence the ache. But even when love is offered, the emptiness remains if inner acceptance is still missing. Because what's often longed for isn't someone else's affection, but self-acknowledgement. The kind that says, I see you. I accept you. You're enough. No one else can give that. Not really. Healing does not begin in another's arms. It begins when a person learns to stop abandoning themselves. So before seeking love outside, it's important to come home gently to the inner self. Not to be perfect, not to have it all figured out, but simply to be honest, to sit in stillness without fear, to breathe without urgency. Because until there is peace and solitude, love will feel like a chase, like something just out of reach. But from a place of self-trust and emotional grounding, love becomes something entirely different. It stops being a rescue and starts being a choice. It stops being survival and becomes expansion. It's not about finding someone to complete a person. It's about meeting someone as already whole. 2. Don't let the world rush you into love. We live in a world that constantly talks about timing, but not in a gentle way. It's more like a countdown, a quiet but persistent ticking in the background of every conversation, every family dinner, every social media post. People ask, why are you still single? As if it's a condition that needs curing. They say things like, you don't want to wait too long, or everyone else is already settling. Down as if love is a train and missing it means walking home alone in the dark. And slowly, without realizing it, being single starts to feel like falling behind, like failure, like something is wrong with you. But here's the truth no one repeats enough. Love is not a race. It's not a finish line to be crossed before a certain age. It's not a test you pass because you got there before your friends. There are no awards for being the first to fall in love. No extra points for getting married early. And absolutely no shame in arriving later. In fact, some of the deepest, most soul-expanding relationships begin far beyond the timeline society tries to impose. Some people find love young, yes, but they also grow apart, change directions, or lose themselves along the way. Others find love much later, after seasons of becoming, of healing, of rebuilding, and it's everything they never knew they. Needed, you are not behind. You are not too late. You are not off track or broken or failing. You are simply living on a different timeline. And that timeline is not wrong. It's yours. Personal, sacred, unfolding in its own way, at its own pace. Don't let the noise of the world drown out your inner knowing. Don't let the pressure to have someone make you choose the wrong someone, because settling isn't the same thing as arriving. And having someone next to you isn't the same as feeling safe in love. Far too often, people stay in relationships not because they're happy, but because they're scared. Scared of being alone, scared of being judged, scared of the silence that comes after choosing themselves. One woman once stayed for years in a relationship where she felt invisible, unvalued, unloved. Not because she didn't know she deserved better, but because the fear of being single was louder than the quiet pain she carried every day. And in the end, she realized something powerful. Being with the wrong person is lonelier than being alone ever was. That truth changes everything. Because it reminds us that love, when it's real, does not come with pressure, fear, or confusion. It comes with peace, with clarity, with safety. So trust the timing of your life. Trust the slow days, the empty seasons, the quiet chapters. They are not detours, they are preparation. There is no expiry date on love that is meant for you. It will not pass you by because you took time to grow. It will not forget you because you chose to heal. Real love, the kind that nourishes instead of depletes, arrives right on time. Not a moment early, not a moment late. So don't rush your becoming. Don't rush your choosing. Don't settle for something small just because you're afraid that something greater might not come. What's meant for you will not ask you to betray your timing to receive it. And when it does arrive, it will feel like a deep exhale, not a frantic chase. 3. Know your worth and never beg for love. There is a quiet kind of heartbreak that doesn't come from being rejected by someone else, but from slowly, silently rejecting oneself in order to be accepted. It's not always loud. It doesn't always end in tears. Sometimes it's just a girl who begins to dim her light, one small flicker at a time, so she can stay close to someone who never truly saw her shine. She lowers her voice when she wants to speak. She laughs at things that don't feel funny. She nods along when her heart wants to say no. Not because she's weak, but because somewhere along the way, she was taught that being chosen is more important than being true. So she starts to compromise. She's asking for what she needs, believing that needs are burdens. She silences her truth, thinking honesty will push him away. She tries to become easier, quieter, less, just to be loved a little more. But the truth is, love that demands the shrinking of the soul is not love. It's a dependency. It's fear wearing the mask of affection. And love that costs someone their dignity, their self-worth, their voice is simply too expensive. Far too many girls learn how to stay instead of how to walk away. They confuse longing with loyalty, pain with passion, and endurance with connection. But kindness should never have to be begged for. Respect should not be something to earn after enough suffering. And attention that comes only when silence is kept is not love. Real love doesn't need to be chased or proven or pleaded for. It doesn't come with ultimatums or expectations that a person must first twist themselves into the perfect version just to be worthy of staying. True love meets you in your authenticity. It says, I see you even when you're messy. I hear you even when your voice shakes. One chooses you, not a filtered, edited version of you, but all of you. So many girls have been conditioned to believe that love is something they have to work for. That if they just become more patient, more forgiving, more beautiful, more agreeable, then maybe they'll be chosen, kept, cherished. But that belief system is broken. Because the moment love becomes a performance, it stops being love. And the moment someone feels like they have to prove their worth just to be treated well, that is not love. That is a transaction. Being chosen should never come at the cost of one's wholeness. And love that only exists when you are quiet, when you are convenient, when you don't complain, is not love that can sustain a soul. No one should have to shrink just to fit into the narrow space someone else is offering. No one should have to silence their inner voice just to maintain temporary peace. Real connection doesn't ask for your silence. It makes space for your truth. It doesn't want less of you. It invites more. And if someone cannot handle your honesty, your feelings, your needs, then that person is not your home. They are a lesson. You are not asking for too much. You are not being dramatic, emotional, clingy, or needy. You are simply asking the wrong person, or perhaps you are learning to stop asking anyone else to give you the permission to exist fully. Worth is not something that has to be earned through suffering. It's something you already have, even when others don't recognize it, especially then. So let go of the idea that love is something that must hurt to matter. Let go of the idea that you must be less, do less, speak less, in order to be loved more. The right person will never ask you to betray yourself to stay. The right person will not make you guess how they feel. The right person will not be threatened by your strength, your softness, or your story. And until that kind of love finds you, or until you choose it for yourself, may you have the courage to be whole on your own, loudly, fully, unapologetically. For you can't fix him and it's not your job. This one might be the hardest truth to accept, especially for the girls with soft hearts, the ones who love deeply, who nurture instinctively, who believe in second chances and hidden goodness. These are the quiet healers of the world, the ones who see brokenness and respond with tenderness, who meet pain not with fear, but with compassion. They walk into relationships with open arms and the belief that love, if pure enough, strong enough, enduring enough, can fix anything. They meet someone who's been through pain, someone emotionally distant, guarded, carrying wounds that run deep and silent. Maybe he's been hurt before. Maybe life has made him hard. Maybe he's never felt safe enough to open up. And something inside her whispers, if I just love him well enough, maybe he'll soften. Maybe he'll trust again. Maybe he'll choose me and change. But here's the truth that often arrives slowly and painfully. No one can be loved into healing. Healing is not something another person can do for someone. It's something they must choose for themselves. A relationship should not feel like therapy. It should not feel like emotional parenting. It should not feel like one person is doing all the work while the other barely shows up. Love cannot thrive when only one person is trying. Love cannot bloom in soil that refuses to grow. A healthy relationship is not about fixing another person. It is about walking side by side, each taking ownership of their wounds, their past, their patterns, and still choosing to show up with openness, with honesty, with care. It's easy to confuse potential with reality, especially for the kind-hearted, especially for the ones who see the best in people before those people are ready to see it in themselves. But potential, no matter how beautiful, is not a promise. It's not a guarantee. It's just a glimpse of what could be, not what is. And loving someone for their potential means loving a version of them that doesn't yet exist. That's not love. That's hope dressed as devotion. And sometimes it becomes a trap. A girl can spend years waiting for someone to grow up, to become emotionally available, to choose her fully. She believes that with enough patience, enough sacrifice, enough loyalty, he will finally step into the version she believes he can be. But people don't grow because someone else wants them to. They grow because they choose to. And if someone isn't choosing growth, no amount of love can drag them there. Staying with someone who is emotionally unavailable, who avoids accountability, who shows no effort to change, is not loyalty. It's self-abandonment. And being the one who always understands, always forgives, always overextends, doesn't make someone strong. It makes them exhausted. Because no matter how much compassion exists, no one can pour from an empty cup. No one can keep giving while being slowly drained. Love should not require suffering to prove its depth. It should not demand the sacrifice of mental and emotional well-being just to hold on. You are not responsible for saving someone who refuses to save themselves. You are not their therapist, their fixer, their lifeline. And love should never make you feel like you are parenting the person who's supposed to be your partner. Relationships require mutual emotional labor, mutual accountability, mutual growth. And if that's not present, it's not a relationship, it's a rescue mission. And no one deserves to live inside a love story where they are constantly rescuing but never resting. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the belief that walking away means giving up. Sometimes walking away is the most loving thing one can do for both people. Because when someone is not ready to grow, staying only delays the inevitable. And when someone is unwilling to meet you emotionally, staying will slowly erode your spirit. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to choose peace over chaos. You are allowed to wait for a love that doesn't ask you to become someone else just to be enough. In the end, real love doesn't come from fixing someone. It comes from choosing someone who is already choosing themselves. Someone who is doing their work, facing their past, owning their truth, and meeting you as an equal. That's the love that lasts. That's the love that heals. 5. Listen to your intuition. It already knows the truth. That quiet feeling in your chest, the one that tightens when something feels off, that's not paranoia. That's your intuition. Sometimes it shows up as anxiety. Sometimes it's a subtle voice whispering, "This doesn't feel right." Sometimes it's the feeling that you're not being yourself around them, that you're walking on eggshells. And yet we silence that voice. We call it overthinking. We tell ourselves we're being dramatic. We stay hoping it'll pass. But if your heart feels unsafe, if your spirit feels small, if your peace is constantly interrupted, that's not love. It took me years to understand that the body always knows. I once stayed in a relationship long after I stopped feeling safe, respected, or seen. I was scared to leave, scared to start over. But the moment I walked away, I could breathe again. Your body is wise. Your soul is honest. Trust it. If something doesn't feel right, you don't need to wait for a reason big enough to leave. The quiet knowing is enough. Conclusion: you deserve real, safe, honest love. This is a love that doesn't leave you questioning. It's not the kind that drains your spirit, wears you down, or makes you doubt your worth. Too often, people settle for relationships that leave them confused, exhausted, and unsure of themselves. But you deserve more than that. You deserve a love that feels like coming home, a love that anchors you, comforts you, and allows you to breathe. A love that holds you gently without ever hurting you. A love that celebrates who you are, your light, your voice, your strength, without ever asking you to shrink. It's the kind of love that stands by your side, not ahead of. You leading you somewhere you're not ready to go, nor behind you, holding you back. It walks beside you as an equal, as a partner in every sense of the word. Before you enter any relationship, there are questions worth asking. Questions that, if answered honestly, can guide you toward the right kind of love. Do you love who you are when you're alone? Do you feel grounded in yourself, enough to stand tall without needing someone else to fill the space beside you? Or do you find yourself constantly seeking validation, clinging to the idea of needing someone to complete you? Are you choosing love from a place of abundance, from a place of feeling whole in yourself? Or are you choosing love from a place of fear? Fear of being alone, fear of not being enough without someone else by your side? Because here's the truth: when you know who you are, when you love yourself enough to stand firm in your worth, when you no longer need anyone else to validate your existence, that's when you will begin to attract a love that doesn't need fixing. It doesn't need constant work, constant struggle, constant repair. It just needs to be felt, experienced, and nurtured. It's a love that isn't rooted in what you can do for each other, but rather in the simple joy of being together, without the pressure, without the burden of expectations. This kind of love feels easy, natural. It brings peace, not turmoil. It doesn't require constant fighting for it to stay, or proving that you deserve it. You'll know that you're in the right kind of love when the peace it brings is undeniable. When there is no drama, no struggle to keep it intact, but instead a quiet confidence that it's meant to be. It will flow, and it will feel like home. Because when love is right, it doesn't make you feel like you're fighting for something. It makes you feel like you've found it already, and that's how you know. It's not the love that makes you work harder for its affection. It's the kind of love that feels like the most natural thing in the world, effortless, free, and full of joy. That's the love that doesn't ask you to change, shrink, or sacrifice your happiness. It supports you in your growth, honors your journey, and chooses to stand with you, not ahead of you or behind you. That's the love that should be yours. So before you dive into any relationship, ask yourself, is this love going to add to my life or take away from it? Does it bring peace or does it demand constant conflict? And most importantly, do you love yourself enough to walk away from anything that isn't serving you so that you can make space for the kind of love that you truly deserve? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.